I still remember the day I boarded the plane to Switzerland for the very first time. It was a mix of nervous excitement, curiosity, and that little flutter in the stomach that comes when you're about to do something new, something unforgettable. As the plane lifted off the ground, I looked out of the window, watching my city shrink beneath the clouds, and I whispered to myself, "This is it." The flight was long, but I couldn't sleep much. My mind was full of dreams about snow-covered mountains, green meadows, and calm lakes I had seen only in pictures and movies. Switzerland had always seemed like a fantasy land to me, a place where everything looked too perfect to be real. And now, I was on my way there. When the plane finally touched down at Zurich airport, I took a deep breath. The air already felt cleaner, lighter, fresher. I stepped off the plane and walked through the airport, trying to take everything in. It was modern, clean, and quiet. People were polite, signs were easy to follow, and everything worked like clockwork. I collected my luggage and walked out into the arrival area, where the cool Swiss air welcomed me like an old friend. I took a train from the airport to Lucerne, the city I had chosen for my first stay. The train was quiet and smooth, gliding past beautiful green fields, wooden houses, and distant mountains. I sat by the window, mesmerized by the postcard-like views, wondering how a place could be so naturally beautiful. I saw cows grazing peacefully in the fields, their bells creating a soft melody as the train rolled by. It was like entering a fairy tale. Lucerne took my breath away. The old town with its colorful buildings, the wooden chapel bridge with flowers hanging from its sides, and the clear blue lake surrounded by mountains, it all felt surreal. I checked into a small family-run hotel, where the owner greeted me with a warm smile and a helpful attitude. My room was cozy, with a small balcony that offered a view of the lake and the distant peaks of Mount Pilatus. On my first evening, I took a walk along the lake. The sun was setting, painting the sky with shades of orange, pink, and purple. Couples sat on benches holding hands while children played nearby. The water was calm, reflecting the colors of the sky. I felt at peace in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. I sat down on a bench, took out my small travel diary, and wrote, "This is what dreams feel like when they come true." The next morning, I decided to visit Mount Pilatus. I had read about the world's steepest cogwheel railway that could take me up the mountain. The ride was slow but breathtaking, climbing through thick forests, steep cliffs, and finally reaching the top, where snow still covered the ground. I stood at the edge of the mountain, looking at the Alps stretching endlessly into the horizon. It was cold, but I didn't care. I was standing above the clouds, in a place I had once seen only on travel websites and calendars. I spent a week exploring different parts of Switzerland: Lucerne, Interlaken, Lauterbrunnen, Zermatt, and even Geneva. Each place had its own charm. Lauterbrunnen, with its 72 waterfalls, felt like a hidden paradise. I remember sitting near Storbuck Falls, feeling the mist on my face and the gentle roar of water in my ears. I hiked through green trails, took cable cars to mountain peaks, and drank hot chocolate in small cafes where everyone seemed to smile a little more than usual. In Zermatt, I saw the Matterhorn for the first time. That pyramid-shaped mountain, so iconic and majestic, made me stop and stare for a long time. I took 100 pictures, none of which captured the actual beauty of what I saw. I rode the Gornergrat railway up to a viewpoint where the mountain stood tall and proud among a range of snow-capped peaks. I sat there in silence, overwhelmed by nature's power and beauty. Geneva was different, more cosmopolitan, with its international vibe and beautiful lakeside promenades. I visited the United Nations building, walked through the English Garden, and admired the Jet d'Eau, the massive water fountain that seemed to touch the sky. I sat by the lake, watching swans swim gracefully, and thought about how different this country was from mine, yet how warmly it had welcomed me. But it wasn't just the nature or the cities that made my trip unforgettable. It was the people, the friendly baker who offered me a free croissant because I reminded him of his nephew, the old lady who helped me find the right bus when I was lost, the children who waved at me as I passed by on my bike. Every small act of kindness made me feel at home in a foreign land. There were moments when I got emotional. Once, while hiking alone in the Alps, I stopped and sat down on a rock, surrounded by silence and beauty. I thought about how far I had come, not just in distance, but in life. I remembered the struggles, the dreams, the fears, and how, despite everything, I was there, living one of my dreams. Switzerland taught me to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to appreciate the little things. The sound of cowbells in the distance, the taste of fresh cheese, the way the light dances on a mountain lake, the smile of a stranger. It reminded me that the world is full of beauty, and sometimes we just need to step out of our routines to see it. When it was time to leave, I felt a strange mix of sadness and gratitude. I looked out of the plane window as Switzerland disappeared beneath the clouds, just like my hometown had when I began this journey. But this time I carried something with me, memories that would stay forever, a heart full of peace, and a soul that had been touched by the magic of Switzerland. Even now, whenever life gets too noisy or stressful, I close my eyes and picture myself standing on a quiet Swiss mountain, the wind brushing my face, the mountains watching over me, and the world standing still in that perfect peaceful moment. That was my first visit to Switzerland, and it changed me forever.